So I just pulled up to my local REI and we're gonna see if we can find some sweet deals in the garage sales section. So let's go in and check it out. There's no denying the fact that gear for backpacking can be a big investment and basically drain your bank account, especially when you look at your big four items, which is your backpack, your tent, your sleeping bag, and your sleeping pad. That can easily be upwards as much as $1,000 to even $2,000. And even though there's good budget options out there on the market, sometimes those budget options don't actually check the boxes of what you're looking for out of a piece of gear for backpacking. So today we're gonna look at different ways to get into some really cool, awesome, high quality pieces of gear, even premium gear items without spending retail prices that make it possible for you to check those boxes of things that you want out of the gear to use for your backpacking trips, but again, not paying full price or having to wait for seasonal sales for you to consider buying that piece of gear. Because I think very often we see here on YouTube and such, all of these really neat pieces of gear, and then we look at our budget and go, I can't afford that. So these are ways that you can actually find some of those really cool pieces of gear that fit within the realm of what you're trying to do gear-wise without spending those retail prices. So the first option is focused around a retailer, but it's the REI garage sale. These are amazing ways for you to find really lightly used pieces of gear or even sometimes brand new items that got returned to a store that are significantly discounted. So I went to my local REI store and went to the garage sale section, and there were some really cool pieces of gear that were available. There wasn't a ton of selection. That's kind of the thing about the garage sale is you just have to kind of periodically go and check to see what is available. There was a sleeping bag from Mountain Hardware that was very significantly discounted, as well as a couple sleeping pads, the Helix from REI sleeping pad that was massively discounted, and it said it was a used pad. But when I looked at it, it was like, this thing basically looks brand new, and it was like 55 bucks. That is a huge savings when you look at that compared to a brand new retail price for those items. You can also get on the REI garage sale, like resale section of their website and see a bunch of used pieces of gear that are available that they'll list the condition of it and give you the option to see what that is like and the price point for you to save some really good money. So I think that's a really nice way for you to get into some good gear at a lower cost. You just might have to be a bit patient or be a little bit more willing to be flexible on the options that are available based off of what happens to be available when you are searching for a tent, a sleeping bag, whatever it is that might be available at the garage sale at that time. Option number 2 is to go thrifting. Go to thrift stores to see what kind of apparel items there are for your layering system and such that might be available. That's primarily the focus of a thrift store, is the apparel. Sometimes you'll find some gear items, like the thrift store that I went to. There was a pair of kids' Tubbs snowshoes that were really decently priced, so that was pretty cool. But you're really gonna be looking for apparel items. Base layers, jackets, that kind of thing that allows for you to get into some cool pieces of apparel at a lower cost. These are likely to be much more used items, but you can find some stuff that is really inexpensive. And I personally don't love thrifting, but I have several friends that have found some really nice jackets and such for really good prices by going to a thrift store and just searching through the racks. But then similarly is a consignment store where you are basically shopping for gear items that are sold secondhand. They were either donated or they came from rental programs or they are on consignment. And so you're able to find some pieces of gear that way that again are going to be used most of the time, but they're going to be likely in really good condition and worth investing in because you're going to save a bunch of money and it's going to last just as long as it would if you had bought it new. So consignment stores are also a good way for you to find pieces of gear at a low cost. Option number 3 is the backpacking flea market on Facebook. This is a group that is 100% focused on buying and selling backpacking gear on Facebook. This is a really safe and awesome place to go and buy gear because the admins have done an amazing job at creating a really safe place for you to buy and sell backpacking specific gear. They don't allow people to scam, and they have all of the checks and balances in place to make sure that when you are buying, you are actually getting the item that is visible on the group there. Now, I've seen some really awesome pieces of gear available from that group. I've seen tents and backpacks and shoes and clothing, apparel items, sleeping bags, sleeping pads, everything focused around backpacking. You can find really, really good pieces of gear available on there. And so you can also set up an in search of post on that group to say, hey, I'm looking for X tent or X sleeping bag in this color, in this size, et cetera, and this is my budget. And there's a very high chance that you're gonna get somebody to reply to you and say, I've got this item, let me show you pictures, here's my price, that kind of thing. And it's a really awesome way to get some high quality premium pieces of gear at significantly lower prices. And the quality of them is usually like new in box with tags, or very, very lightly used, like new kind of condition. And then the last one that we'll talk about is kind of the more traditional ways that you would be looking for that revolve around like Craigslist type of classifieds, as well as Facebook Marketplace or eBay. These are my least favorite, and it's the purpose that I'm sharing this last, because they can be full of scams. They can be full of people trying to just scam you out of your money, not be truthful, and you have to be really careful with those selling sites to make sure that what you are looking at is actually what the seller is going to sell you. So do your due diligence, do your research on the seller before you send anybody money. Make sure you use protected payment methods like PayPal goods and services so that you don't find yourself in a position of getting screwed out of some money when you send somebody $300 for a tent and then they never ship it to you. I've seen that comment happen quite often from people on Facebook where they just straight up got scammed for somebody posting something on the marketplace. But those can be ways, if you do your research and your due diligence, to find some great pieces of gear without having to pay retail prices. So those are my methods of finding some really good gear for cheap, not paying retail prices, that are a little bit different and can make it so that you save some money and not have to break the bank to find some great items for your upcoming backpacking trips that you've got planned. Let me know down in the comments if you've got other ideas of how to save some money around getting some really good high quality backpacking gear items without breaking the bank. So thanks for watching today, guys. If you're not subscribed, do subscribe. Hope you have an awesome day. Catch you in the next one. See you later.